He couldn't see her face well, backlit as she was by the fire, but she seemed oddly tense, as if she sensed danger. Kenton could work with that. "Your father bids you come to him," he said, keeping his voice as low as he could without arousing her suspicion. "I will escort you." Her fingers shook slightly, and she looked downright terrified. "My father?" Gods, was she afraid of Diamus? Or did she recognize Kenton from the woodcut images? If she did, she might scream at any moment. "Now, my lady," he said, and though she was a princess and he only a soldier, she shut her book and stood, smoothing her nightdress and moving toward the door. Kenton didn't waste a moment. In one step he closed the distance between them, drawing his dagger and bringing it to her throat, bracing her against him with his other arm. He turned, looking down at her. "Silence," he said. "Draw attention and I'll kill you." Daniela let out a small whimper, her whole body trembling. "I'm going to pull the knife away," he said. "It'll be behind your back, between us, ready to cut you in an instant. Do you understand?" Daniela nodded, her breath coming in quick gasps. He drew the knife away and pressed it lightly against the back of her gauzy nightdress for effect. He needed her afraid, but he wasn't planning to hurt her. There would be no benefit in it. "All right," he said. "Now take me to your father." Kenton couldn't get closer to the Lord General with his uniform alone, but a blade to Daniela's throat should help. The Lord General had no prize greater than his darling daughter. To Daniela's credit, she didn't seem surprised by this instruction. She cast one glance back at him, her eyes welling with tears. Eyes he recognized. Gods! It couldn't be. Kenton's memories were only fragments. Soldiers in Severnese livery cutting down his mother, his brothers, his sister. Kenton hiding cramped in the cupboard beneath the stairs, hugging his knees. Then, clearest of all, through the thin slice of light from the cupboard door, his father being made to kneel, the little girl with the blood-red hair toddling forward on unsteady legs, placing her hand on his father's forehead. Blood bursting from his father's body in a swirling cloud, collecting in the air. Kenton burying his head in his arms, unable to watch, desperately holding in a scream. And then his father's body crumpled on the floor, still and lifeless. Kenton shivered. All these years he hadn't been sure she was real, and yet here he was, standing face to face with his father's killer, the little red-haired girl who could kill with only a touch. No wonder Diamus kept her so close. Kenton had never even heard of a power like that, blood magic or otherwise, but if she had it, why wouldn't she touch him and end it all here? Kenton's own hand began to shake, but Daniela made no move to hurt him. He directed her forward before she could see the blade quivering in the firelight. "Now, princess." Daniela nodded and started forward into the empty hall. Kenton followed close enough behind to reach for her if she refused to do as he asked, but not so close that one of Diamus' staff might think anything was amiss. Daniela turned a corner just ahead of him, toward the stairwell that would lead to Diamus' own chambers. Then, with no warning, she broke into a run. Kenton swore under his breath. Now she was going to attract attention, bring the guard down on him before he could even... Daniela turned another corner and slipped into an alcove, and Kenton checked up and down the corridor, ensuring that no one had seen them. Idiot girl. She'd holed up in a corner where she should have screamed for help. Kenton advanced on the alcove, his blade at the ready. But when he peered into the shadows, he saw only her bare leg and the hem of her nightdress disappearing into the wall, like a haunt from a children's tale. Kenton blinked at the space where she'd disappeared. How had she done that? He knew of no magic that could accomplish it, not that he was an expert in such things. If she'd murdered his father, she was certainly a blood mage, but he'd never heard of a blood mage who could manipulate stone. Unless... Kenton reached out.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.